Hello, welcome to the Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 353 now as we hurtle ever more forwards, albeit slowly, if you can hurtle slowly, I'm not sure you can, to episode 400, which is some ways off yet. I admit, quite a ways off, to be fair. I don't think we'll be at episode 400 till 2023, will we, Rob? By my calculations, if we're doing this bi-weekly. Hello, Rob. Hey, how you doing? Sorry.
Hi. Yeah, probably. So how we're talking 26 weeks? Yeah, it's unlikely. 2023. But I'm okay, Alex. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm now COVID free, which is a relief. And back at work. It's January. It's boring. Nothing happens. I mean, the highlight of next week is the fact my new sofa's going to be arriving, but that's about.
Let me just interrupt you, Rob. Just to give the listeners a peek behind the curtain. Rob and I did start recording this podcast 10 minutes ago and had a very interesting chat about the delivery of Rob's new sofa, why he's getting rid of his old sofa, the insurance policy he had on his old sofa, the claim he made it to the now in administration defunct Harvey's group, his successful claim, how this helps him take money off his new corner sofa, which also doubles as a sofa bed, etc., etc. Unfortunately, due to a technical error, none of that was recorded. So you have missed out on 10 minutes of sofa chat. That can never be recovered, can it, Rob?
Well, I mean, we can have the conversation again, Alex, if you'd like.
I'd really prefer not to, because I was just commenting it being the most boring 10-minute opening ever before I realised I'd had a technical failure. And none of my end of the recording had been recorded. Maybe, Rob, you could release your end of the recording as a bonus. People can fill in the gaps.
You told me not to save it, Alex. I deleted it.
True.
Also, it strikes me
Patreon special. Rob talking about sofa chats to nobody.
It does strike me that you could have just stopped recording and just said you'd lost it. I mean, Alex, you could have just cut out the edit. You didn't have to lie to me.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Rob. I was about to say something. That was it. Talking about our steady approach to 400 episodes, Rob. So for anybody who doesn't know yet, you should if you've been listening to the podcast, Rob and I have, our Local Anesthetic is also on Patreon, which is a service where people can sign up as a membership to a podcast and get like bonus additional content. So our package is very cheap compared to other packages, £2 a month, and you get 2 episodes a month of bonus episodes that you can't find anywhere else. So they're called LAPodcast and Extra Jab. Rob, the reason I mention that is that, yes, we are on 353 episodes, but technically there are 13 other episodes of LA Podcast and Extra Jab out there, which are still part of the LA Podcast canon.
Yeah.
Do they count? Do they count in the overall episode list or not? It's really confusing, Rob.
If you're going to do this, Alex, you could, technically speaking, although, not strictly speaking related. I mean, we also have 26 episodes of Daft Talk.
No, but that is really a different show. That's like The Simpsons and Futurama.
Okay, yeah, fair.
But what I'm wondering is, does LA Podcast and Extra Jab, it's still part of the LA Podcast canon, isn't it? And by the way, listeners, if you're not on Patreon yet, there are 13, if you sign up now, not only are you going to be getting 2 episodes a month for £2 a month, you're automatically going to get 13 bonus episodes automatically.
Yeah. As
part of that package. Rob, the point is, I guess we have to count them as slightly separate, don't we?
I would. I'm a bit of a purist, Alex, and I do think that yes, of course, they would fall under the canon of LA Podcast, but I do think they are something different.
Yeah, they are a different beast. Yeah, you should go to Patreon, listen to them now. Right, Rob, I want to crack on with this podcast because we had 10 minutes wasted. Is there any news?
No, not really. It's January. Everyone is just trying to bed down and try to anticipate what the shit show of 2022 is going to bring. No. So we'll just crack on, really.
Well, my prediction wasn't it, at the start of this pandemic, I said nothing gets better from here on in. It'll be interesting to see if that hypothesis is proved correct. So we shall see. We shall await. Right, Rob, you got a story for us there, mate.
Well, Alex, as I often hear you asking, and I'm sure you would have asked me again at some stage, what's going on at Pontins?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Pontins, yeah. Our regular Pontins update.
Well, I mean, we like to check in to see whether the standards have improved, whether people are still going there. I think the answer to those questions are no and yes, respectively. But this is from the 7th of January, so it's very, relatively topical. It's by John McPherson from the Lancashire Lancs Live website. Southport Pontins guests flee after short break turned into nightmare stay.
Sorry, I really do enjoy these listeners. Look, hang on a minute, Rob. We have international listeners, like, from all over the world. The United States, Israel, places in Asia, everywhere. Rob,
yep.
I don't think we've ever explained what Pontins is. Can you just give a brief explanation as to what is Pontins?
So, really interesting. I was reading an article in The Atlantic the other day, and it was a really good article just about the...
Sorry. The Atlantic had a story about Pontins in it.
The journalist was talking about the State of the Union, i.e. the United Kingdom, and then went on this really strange tour of the UK, which for some reason took him to a short break at Butlins, which is bizarre. Now, I would say that Butlins is slightly...
you need to explain what Butlins is first. These people don't know what we're talking about.
Well, okay. So first of all, I would say that in the order of things, I would say that Butlins is above Pontins. But Butlins, which was obviously first conceived by Billy Butlins, I'm pretty sure that was his name. I haven't just made that up. And it was a holiday camp for the working classes, basically, that will provide a reasonable getaway that would include entertainment, kids clubs. Usually finger food buffets, adult entertainment, not like that, just do things in the evenings once the children have gone to bed. So they'd have like a licensed bar, maybe a cabaret, possibly in the car parks. But yeah, that was it. It was targeting a very particular demographic, and it sounds.
Sorry, Rob, it sounds shit. Now you're saying Pontins is a grade below that.
I would say so, yeah, because I think Butlins still has, you still have the red coats of Butlins. There's still I think there's a degree of romanticism about Butlins. The
red coats are the uniform that the staff wear. They all wear these red jackets. Yeah, so those are the Butlins staff. And you're saying the Pontins is a rung below that. So it is a holiday resort, again, let's be honest, largely for maybe for the underclass, Rob.
I mean, I'm not sure the phrase underclass does them justice, Alex. When I say them, I mean, look, this is getting problematic. The thing to say is, I think Billy Butlins and his contenders of the crown basically, is it fair to say, Alex, they invented the package holiday?
Well, maybe, but I didn't know that Butlins was formed by a man called Billy Butlins. Am I to assume that Pontins was formed by a guy
Pete
called
Pontins?
Or founded?
Pete Pontins.
Was it Peter Pontins?
No, of course it wasn't.
Billy Butler. They were bitter rivals, Rob. They went to the same school together. They'd have punch ups around the back of the tuck shop.
Alex. The point is. He generally was called Billy Butlin. That was his full name was Sir William.
But what
Haygate
about Pontins?
Edmund.
He wasn't working. He wasn't working class, was he?
Alex. So William Haygate Edmund Colburn Butlin, MBE,
the third.
Right, let's have a look at Pontins. Bear me a sec. So Pontins was actually founded by Sir Frederick William Pontin. So. I'm assuming
Billy Pontins.
It's actually Fred Pontins.
So he looked at what Billy Butlin had done and said, "I want a piece of that action."
Well, apparently, do you want here's some backstory, Alex. So Frederick William Pontin was the founder of Butlin's holiday camps, and one of the two
Pontins or Butlins.
Sorry, Pontins. Sorry.
Right.
And it was the founder of the Pontins holiday camps and one of the two main entrepreneurs in the British holiday camp business in the 30 years after the Second World War, alongside Billy Butlin. So there you go. There's a brief slice of history there.
So basically, these rich bastards, I reckon, worked out that the good old British Tommy and his wife needed cheering up and having their mind taken away from the ravages of the Second World War and the PTSD associated with that. Or if you didn't go out to fight, being bombed and things like that, the Blitz, all the rest of it, just the drudgery of rations and everything else. So why don't you come away to this package holiday, and we will entertain you and put you up in sort of
a chalet
accommodation. It's what they're calling a chalet, right? Now Rob, this has been a very long introduction to this story, but Rob and I have featured over the years many stories about people going to Pontins. They're always Pontins, not Butlins. Butlins have been unscathed in this, Rob.
Yeah.
Endless stories about people visiting Pontins and having some of the most horrendous experiences, listeners, you've ever heard of in your life. And if you're interested in those experiences, you're going to have to start working your way through 352 episodes. Enjoy. And the Patreon episodes, where I think we might have talked about Pontins already by now in 30 episodes.
I would have
probably
thought so.
have. Okay, Rob, tell us this latest story from the Lancs Live, is it?
Lancs Live, yeah. So a family who travelled to Pontins, I don't know why I keep reading that as Butlins, for a special event, saying they endured a nightmare stay and were forced to flee. Ben Reverall, his girlfriend...
Sorry, forced to flee makes it sound like they're refugees. Bloody hell, I mean, this is like, do you know what I mean? It's like visiting visiting Pontins is like visiting a war-torn country.
Maybe Pontins are trying to recreate the wartime spirit by allowing the guests to become so traumatized at their holiday camps, when they return home, they genuinely appreciate what where they've come from.
It's like Libya after the fall of Gaddafi.
Yeah, exactly. Let's
put that on TripAdvisor. Let's go on. Pontins, and the headline is like Libya after the fall of Gaddafi. Absolute chaos.
Pontins, come here and you realise your life could be worse. So Ben Reverall and his girlfriend Natasha Foster and their 2-year-old daughter Liza arrived at the Southport Holiday Park to find their room was in a dilapidated condition with no bedding, and all three of them ended up sleeping on the sofa bed.
Sorry, okay, this is the fun. We've had shit on the walls. We've had cum everywhere. We've had all semen everywhere. We've had all kinds of things going on in these rooms. This is a first, Rob, in a local anaesthetic coverage of Pontins, to find people turning up to their chalet to find there are no beds in the room.
No.
And how did they end up sleeping?
No bedding. No, there's no. There's no.
Then
bedding.
Why did they sleep on the floor? What? Why did they sleep on the floor then if there's no bed?
No, they were sleeping on the sofa bed. I mean, you clearly haven't listened to a word I've said. So there was no bedding, and they slept on the sofa bed.
Why didn't they sleep on the bed?
Because there was no bedding. So they slept on the sofa
Why
bed.
did they take the bedding off the sofa bed?
It's a good question. I mean, Alex, I can't give you an answer to this. Look, they say they saw people sniffing cocaine in the toilets and smoking cannabis in the car park, and were left horrified by a gory find in the bathroom sink.
Rob, sorry. Quick question for clarification.
Yes.
Was that people sniffing cocaine in their toilets, or just the toilets?
No, I think the communal toilets. I mean, it would be. I mean, if someone was walking into their chalet and just go, "I'll just be a sec," and just walking into their bathroom. No, it's in the communal toilets.
Maybe it was George Osborne.
It might well have been. Yeah. I mean, I think that maybe this is probably beneath him, but I could be wrong.
Sorry, he's got nothing to do. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, because he's got nothing to do with Pontins, and I just realised I wasn't trying to associate him with drug use in any way, sorry.
Really, because I many have. Anyway, look. So Ben, 23, said they travelled from Keighley in West Yorkshire for the Dreamland event.
Dreamland?
Dreamland event, yeah.
Wow. I mean, Dreamland.
We'll come on to that.
Like not really clarifying the difference between a dream and a nightmare. I guess a nightmare is still a dream, but they've kind of hidden the fact that you're going to have a nightmare under the word Dreamland. They should have called it Nightmareland, really. But
yeah, man. Maybe Nightmare. Obviously, maybe in the very Halloween theme, they could have it October, November time of year. People would actually pay for that, I think, as well. People would appreciate the dilapidated conditions of the resort at that point.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Rob.
You need to think about this. Yeah. So speaking to the Echo, he said, "We turned up around 7 p.m. on our arrival night. We were meant to be there for 2 nights, but when we arrived, we were a bit underwhelmed. But I just thought it was late at night and everything was packed up. We found out at check-in that we had to pay for electricity and gas, which we've covered before on the podcast.
Right. So look, if you're gonna, for fuck's sake, if you're gonna go to Pontins, do your research. So again, listeners and international listeners, take this on to your mind, to absorb this, digest this. If you go and stay at Pontins, when you arrive and you check in, you are told you have to pay for your gas and electricity use.
Yes. Yeah. We got to the room and there was no bedding, so we had to buy bedding for the stay. Now, I'm not sure if the shop on site sells bedding, because part of me really respects them for that, if that's the case.
Pontins themed bedding. Yeah, we don't give you bedding, and then when you arrive, you have to buy it from the shop.
Yeah. We came back, we'd been out for about 2 hours, and the gas electricity meter used about £7.50 worth of energy in that time. 2 hours, £7.50 worth of energy and gas.
So it's a bit like a taxi meter then, is it really? It's slightly inflated. I wonder if it like if it's just like there are probably some meters there that are dodgy and are like feeding other rooms and things like that.
Just feeding blocks at a time, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. When we looked at the mattresses, they were in a horrible state, absolutely terrible. We decided to sleep on the sofa bed in the end, a family of 3 on a sofa bed. We went to the clubhouse that night and the entertainment was brilliant, but the cocaine and marijuana use was absolutely horrendous. I'm assuming that was away from the entertainment. That wasn't part of the entertainment.
Well, who knows?
Just massive piles of coke and cannabis everywhere. You know, unlike the gas and electricity, the drugs are included in the price, which is only fair. We tried our best to keep our little girl in the kids section. She didn't see any of it. The next morning, I went to reception to inquire about a partial refund for early cancellation, but was met with a kind of no. She wrote a report and gave me the report number, said sorry, and tried to do almost nothing about it. So we left early, about 9 a.m. that morning.
Rob, can you imagine working in the Pontins complaints department? Most stressful job on earth, I would have thought. It's just a relentless stream of. I mean, has anybody ever been to Pontins and been satisfied? And if they have, their bar of expectation is very, very low.
I don't know why. I just imagine that the Pontins complaints department is just an answer machine. I don't think anyone picks up that phone.
No. Yeah,
it's just it's an answer machine that can't accept any more messages.
It's a dog in a room with an answer machine, and the dog has been trained to just press simple switches. That's it.
just to delete messages
and to hang up on people when it hears swearing. Like certain keywords.
Yeah. However, the nightmare didn't end there. Ben says he also discovered the bathroom sink in the apartment was blocked with hair, but what he assumed it was from the guest who stayed there before him. I mean, that's to be fair, that's the least of your worries in Pontins. We've covered a lot worse. The worst photo we managed to take was the bathroom sink. It was blocked with hair. It's quite a gory picture. It's not just a couple of hairs. It's as if a bearded man had a shaved and not cleared it out. I mean, to be fair, there is a lot of hair in there. There's also a picture of a heavily stained mattress.
God!
There's a lot of very sort of brown stains on there.
The other question is, who's going to Pontins for a few days and staining the mattresses? I guess it's like you go out, you have your cocaine, your marijuana, your booze, and then you come home and you crap yourself in bed.
That sounds like a good night either. But we speculated before. I think when you're paying so little for this kind of accommodation, you don't give a shit about it. So I think that's the problem. People just don't. Well, yeah. He said every time we went to the toilet in the clubhouse, someone was there sniffing cocaine. Every time, Alex. The installation supervisor continued the guy was the installation supervisor. On first arrival, there's a big arc-shaped 2-story apartment block with a car park through the middle of it. We parked it, walked about 300 meters to reception, and just the smell. There's people walking around with kids smoking marijuana, and it was common. We saw 5 or 6 people doing the same thing. Then during the night time, because we didn't want to go back to the apartment, we stayed in the clubhouse until the entertainment finished about 1 a.m. Every time I went into the toilet, there was someone sniffing cocaine, not even in a cubicle, which makes me think that they were just doing it, on the sinks, just off the door, maybe. I don't know.
Rob, this sounds, when I say hellish,
yeah,
it literally, like, you couldn't pay me to go there. It sounds horrendous. And also, because you remember we commented that when the pandemic started, I think Pontins was like the only place that just resolutely remained open.
Yeah,
there was
strangely.
no sign that it ever closed. It must be a COVID-infested cesspit, these places, surely.
Well, I don't know, Alex, but I think But he goes on to say, I don't know whether it's a lack of respect or because people do it and it's the culture when you go there. So I think that's probably it. People just, they know they can get away with it, so they just do it anyway.
Willie Pontin would be turning in his grave, Rob.
Fred Pontin, Alex. Let's at least get his name right.
You said William. You did say William Pontin.
Yeah, but he was known as, he was more colloquial. He was known by Fred.
No, he wasn't. He was known by his middle name, William, and people called him Willie Pontin. I think Roald Dahl even wrote a book about him.
Well, I mean, you know, that's certainly one for the kids to look up.
Okay, Rob, more stories.
So, Alex, you've been complaining over the last few weeks that you sent me a backlog of stories that I haven't addressed yet. So I thought,
I sent you an absolute treasure. Like when I'm saying some of the best stories you've ever had, and just almost spitefully, you just barely read any of them.
Well, that's going to change, Alex. So here's one of them. So this is from Newsweek, from the 8th of November, by Thomas Kicker. And the headline, Kentucky woman stabs male cousin with knife in dispute over borrowed sex toy, police say.
Now, I vaguely remember this. The trouble is I sent it to you a while ago. Now, borrowed sex toy. There's my issue already. But anyway, let's hear about it.
I mean, this is the other thing, Alex. I thought that there might be it might be nice to try and space these stories out. So hopefully you've forgotten some of the detail in them. I mean, I was doing it for your benefit.
I've already told you and the listeners, Rob, that when I see a story that catches my eye, I read the headline, I read the first paragraph, I read no more, because I don't want to spoil it for myself either. I want to share any excitement. So all I will ever know of these stories are the headline and maybe the first paragraph.
Yeah, fair. So, a woman was arrested last month after an argument with a male cousin over a borrowed sex toy ended in a stabbing.
Now, this is the kind of thing that I could imagine would also happen at Pontin's.
In a drug-fueled rage, yeah.
Yeah, let's just think of our listeners in the United States. There's a phrase in the United States, isn't there? It's not very nice, but I'm just going to name it. It's out there. It's not my phrase. I didn't coin it. I'm just saying trailer trash. Right?
Yeah.
And we know the kind of demographic that is meant to describe, which isn't really fair. I mean, pretty impoverished people, but then it comes with it a certain maybe. I don't actually want to get into that whole hornet's nest. But would our equivalent of trailer trash be people who frequent Pontin's?
Well, Alex, you coined the phrase "as the people" many years ago now. Which
I did.
We've
yeah.
I think maybe we need to update that phrase to Pontin's people.
Pontin's people, yeah. Pontin's people. Bloody hell, yeah.
Pontin's people also sounds like it would be a 90s...
A band?
And I was going to say 1970s like travel documentary or like a documentary on the life and time... Not life and times, but it basically it just focused on like a Butlins holiday camp for the summer season.
Let me fucking tell you now, Rob. Whoever is not making a reality show about Pontin's, whatever channel, you throw Pontin's as much money as you can and you film there over a series of weeks.
Yeah.
That would be riveting viewing, Rob. Mary and Timothy have arrived for... It won't be Timothy.
Yeah, but I say, Alex, come on. Mary okay. And Keith, come on.
Sharon and Reg have arrived for their anniversary trip to Pontin's, only to discover a family of dead rats in the bed. Reg is making his way to the reception as we speak, and you're following him on foot. I mean, this would be TV gold, Rob.
Yeah. Reg has booked a luxury chalet to celebrate their anniversary, only to discover on arrival that you have to pay an additional charge for the electricity, gas, and bedding. Yeah,
and that you have to borrow a sex toy. You don't get your own.
And so just the image of just I don't know why, but a member of staff just opening a drawer next to the cash register, just pulling out like this used sex toy, just handing it to him.
Yeah, just let's be honest. You know how there is a tradition in hotels in this country and in the United States. I don't know if it is this country. I think it is as well as the United States. If you go to a motel or a hotel, there will always be a Bible in the drawer.
Yeah,
Gideon's Bible.
Yeah,
is that in this country as well?
I'm sure I've been to hotels where that has been in there. Yeah, I think it is.
I don't think even Willie Pontins would have had the balls or the brass neck, Rob, to put a Bible in one of the Pontins chalets. Maybe there's a book by what's his name, Aleister Crowley in there, or Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satanism. Maybe something like that.
I imagine there was a Bible once, but the page has been ripped out and used as Rizzler paper
or toilet paper, or something worse.
It would just yeah. It's just basically the front and back cover now. There's nothing else inside.
Rob, what are we talking about? In Pontins, there is not a Bible in that side drawer. There's a copy, a 1980s with pages stuck together copy of Razzle.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
which is a porno mag.
It is. It's permanently stuck to the bottom of the drawer, but not with glue. You have to literally just peel it away and then put it back afterwards. Make sure you wipe it. So, according to newly released court documents, 33-year-old Crystal Denham called police to her home in Corbin.
Sorry, Crystal Denham.
Crystal Denham.
Now that is a great name. That's going on the list.
Alex, this is really bad, but she sounds like she should be a stripper. I mean, absolutely. She might well be. Called police to her home in Corbin, Kentucky, after stabbing her cousin Michael Barton on October 28th. Barton had reportedly had come over to a residence. They got into an argument over a sex toy, as you do, when Denham had borrowed from him and wanted back. The two were neighbours as well as cousins. Love that. That's a nice feature.
Let's be honest, incest is probably involved here as well.
I find it interesting that they borrowed a sex toy, and obviously they're obviously different sexes. So my concern is that either he's...
Oh, God.
Do you see where I'm going with this? Either he's using it for his partner, or he's inserting it into somewhere that she wouldn't have done. Either way, yeah, it's concerning. So at one point during the conversation, Barton grabbed Denham by the elbow after she demanded that he get off her property. Denham reacted by
using... Rob, I'm already a bit confused. Sorry. So Crystal Denham had borrowed a sex toy from her cousin. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Who's male?
He
had a collection of sex toys, and she said, one day they must have been having a cup of coffee and they were talking about his sex toy collection. And she said, that sounds good, that particular item. Can I borrow that? And he went, yeah, sure, I'll just go and get it. And he comes down.
I imagine that she'd come over to his for coffee and the sex toys were just strewn all over the living room.
Right, okay. She's like, can I borrow that?
Everywhere. Yeah.
She said, can I borrow that? He goes, yeah. She takes it home. And then you're saying she goes over there to return it? Is that what happened? Or?
No, so he'd gone over to her house to ask for it back.
Oi, where's my, whatever what we don't know. I don't know if it says what the sex toy was later.
I don't think it does. No, I just scroll down. I don't think it does say. No, it doesn't.
Okay, right.
She says, I don't know. Maybe the dog's been at it.
Hey?
It's a toy, Alex. Not trying to insert it anywhere. So Barton grabbed Denham by the elbow after she demanded that he get off her property. Denham reacted by using the kitchen knife she'd been holding to stab him. She reportedly...
So hang on, she went over there already holding a knife. That's the key.
No, I think the knife. Alex, look. The knife was just lying around along with all the sex toys and discarded condoms.
Okay.
It was a party night, okay?
It was part of the sexual games.
Exactly. There was someone tied to a door. It's a whole thing. So she reacted by using a kitchen knife she'd been holding. Oh, you didn't say that she'd been holding, so maybe she had been going over there with it.
Mm.
Yeah, she didn't say she picked it up. She reportedly didn't think she even drew blood, according to police.
What do you mean? If you shove a knife into somebody, you're going to draw blood?
Yeah, well,
I would have thought.
Police confirmed that Barton suffered 3 minor cuts as a result of the stabbing. He told officers about the argument and alleged that he was trying to leave when his cousin began acting crazy. Denham was sweeping her porch when officers arrived at the scene. Again, nice detail.
I love that. So she's walked away, leaving her cousin stabbed lying on the floor in a pool of blood. And she just goes back to her house and she just sweeps her front porch casually, nonchalant as you like, Rob.
Alex, we've talked about it before. I mean, do you remember the guy the other week whose son-in-law had turned up and threw his feces at his stepfather, and the stepfather had a shower? Where he said that whenever you're expecting the police, you should always make sure you're clean and well presented. And I think she was doing the same. She wanted to ensure that her porch looked presentable.
But not a euphemism.
No. Denham was arrested and held at the Whitley County Detention Centre ahead of a December 20 court date. When officers told her she was being taken to custody, she reportedly began to yell that she would not be arrested, and formed a fist with each hand, bladed her body in a defence stance, swelled her chest out, and began approaching officers.
Hang on a minute. It sounds like the description of, like an animal, or like you can imagine like a bird. Like if you're watching a nature documentary and they're talking about how a turkey defends itself. Swells its like. Read that again. That was so odd. So she put both of her hands. She formed a fist with each hand. Right. Right. Yeah. She bladed her body in a defence stance. I don't even know what that means. I don't know. Like swelled her chest out and began approaching the officer, who was able to make her complaint in short order. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that she was arrested. So she's threatened the police officer. I'm surprised she didn't get tasered.
I mean, Alex, let's look at this as a...
Maybe she would have thought, maybe she would see that as a sex toy.
Maybe. But she obviously has an anger issue, because, I mean, she went over to her cousin's. Her cousin asked for his sex toy back, which is a completely reasonable request, and got stabbed in the process. So... I think there's a few issues.
No, she asked for the sex toy back, Rob. She wanted the sex toy back from her cousin, isn't that it?
No, the other way around. No, she'd borrowed it from Michael. Michael asked for it back from her.
So why did she go over? So she goes over there for what? Another cup of coffee. He says, "Hey, where's that sex toy?" She gets a knife, shoves it in his stomach, and then
basically
leaves.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfectly reasonable, Alex. I mean, she's also been arrested for drug offences in the past, but I think it's fair we can just leave that story there. So someone does ask in the comments what the sex toy was, and I do feel that's a crucial piece of information that's been missed by Newsweek, but that's okay.
Now, Rob, it's time for our listener story of the week. I got the sense, might be wrong, but the last week when I played my Purple Rod, for these collections I'm making for your daughter once she grows up and sort of has the musical intellect and sort of... My brain's really not working today. I'm trying to think of a word, but that sort of, understanding musical nuance, understanding... Once she's a connoisseur, more of a connoisseur of music, that she will appreciate these. But Rob, I could play my own thing, but then I thought you seemed to quite enjoy last week just picking a song and I play it. So did you want to pick a song as we approach the end of January here?
Okay, sure. I mean, I can't think of any January-related songs. There must be, but
I don't think anybody's ever recorded a song about January. I doubt it.
I bet they have, Alex. Let's be honest. Well, let's go with some mainstream. I'm thinking Beatles. Let's go for how about Let It Be? That'd be lovely. Can you think how that goes?
I'll do the chorus bit there. So let it be.
Okay, that's fine.
Let it be. Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. That one. Okay. Hang on. Sorry.
I mean, what the fuck?
I've not started. I'm trying to find the right note, you bastard. Can you just give me a second? Get off my fucking case, Rob.
Right, I'm saying you requested it, so...
Okay. Oh, shit.
Listeners, he's not the mic over, just in case you wonder what that noise was. At what point do you stop trying?
Do you know what, Rob? I took this recorder in to be serviced, and I don't think they've fucking done it, mate. It's not playing right. It's not, the notes aren't coming right. This is ridiculous. I paid good money to get this recorder serviced, more than the recorder cost in the first place. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, you'll have to explain that one to Lyra. Who's the listener story from this week?
I really hope this becomes a feature where you try to play songs from popular culture. So, look, I have to say, Steve is really knocking it out of the park at the moment.
Yeah, he is.
He really is getting those stories
MVP, Steve.
Yeah, and it continues as well. Now, I know obviously it's been a slow period over Christmas, so I do appreciate that, and we are getting stories from other people. But this is from Steve, once again. It is, again, from a paper that I don't think we featured in the past. So, So this is from the West Somerset Free Press.
No.
Alex, they're not on the under the shackles of capitalist something. They are free to report the stories that matter.
West Somerset. Yeah, well, because it's like Berlin. West and East Somerset still have a wall that divides them, Rob, don't they?
That's right. Yeah.
There's West Somerset, which is sort of more progressive, and East Somerset is shackled, Rob, under the bounds of the bonds of communism.
Yeah, that's right.
And so this really is how you get your information if you're in Somerset. And to all if anybody has managed to find this episode, because I know you don't have really access to the internet or anything like that in East Somerset, but maybe somebody's smuggled in a mobile phone or whatever, and you're happening to listen to LAPodcast, we are with you. Our hearts are with you, and we hope one day, if he's still alive when it happens, we can send David Hasselhoff to stand on the rubble of that wall and play you a song.
Yeah, we stand with our communist brothers, and wish for their freedom. However, if you have managed to listen to this podcast, I'm sorry that I had to report this sad news. So just brace yourself. You may not have heard about this. So
okay.
Just bear that in mind. Okay, so this is from the 30th of October. As I said, it's already from the West Somerset Free Press by Tony James. Alex, I think we may need some funereal music behind this.
Oh, okay, hang on a minute. I can't just get this stuff automatically. Hang on. Right, here we go. Yeah. Sad.
Lovely. Alex, town mourns Derek the Goose.
I heard about this.
Really?
Hang on a minute. Didn't I cover Derek the Goose in an episode a long time ago?
It's funny you should say that. I think we have featured him before.
Yeah, I featured a story about a couple of years ago. Derek the Goose,
yeah.
Yes.
So this may come as a blow.
All right.
So Watch It, the town of Watch It, was this week come to terms with the loss.
Sorry. Why did you just threaten me on the...
Look, Alex,
watch it. No, you watch it.
Yeah. No,
you watch it.
Watch it. Just let me finish.
No, you watch it.
Is the town right? It's a town, Alex. It's a town in West Somerset.
Is it called Watch It?
Watch It, yeah. So it's WATCHET.
That's where I've maybe it got its name because that's where there's the lookout where they've got a high tower and they look out over the wall to see what's going on in East Somerset. You know,
could be.
It's also like North and South Korea is another good example of Somerset if you go there. You know, with East Somerset being like North Korea, hidden really behind an iron curtain, really a brick wall. You can't see what's going on there. South Korea is West Somerset. Just to give you another example.
The trouble is, because it is in Somerset, Watch It is in completely the wrong place because actually it actually faces the Severn Estuary, so it's actually quite a way away from East Somerset.
Oh.
So, but they have given the guy a pair of binoculars. I mean, you can't see that well, but at least he's there. So Watch It this week was coming to terms with the loss of one of his most beloved characters after Derek the Goose, which had lived in the harbour for over 10 years, suffered a violent and mysterious death in the early hours of last Saturday.
Right. Sorry, can I say, it's odd to call him a character. Yeah? It's not, this isn't a show. This isn't it's a fiction. Derek the Goose is a real thing, and he called him a character. I found that odd. But look, Rob.
Yeah, but he's a character, Alex. He had his own personality. He was a well-loved character. Like the barflies that you find in any local pub. You know, the ones you don't really want to speak to. They just sit there in the bar drinking themselves into oblivion. They are characters.
Rob. And I apologise because we've got this very sombre music, but it needs to be said. We all know already, even from the opening sentence, what's happened here. You know, Rob, as well as I do, that in certain areas of the UK, particularly places like Somerset, there is an underground collection of people, Rob, who are sexually attracted to geese and ducks and swans and things like that.
Yeah.
Somebody has gone there, Rob, had sex with Derek. I don't think Derek has lived to tell the tale, or they didn't want Derek to live to tell the tale, and they've done away with him. I wouldn't be surprised, Rob, if it's one of the high-ranking, military people of the Communist Party in East Somerset who've done this.
It's possible, Alex. It is possible. I'm not disagreeing with you. So what the first thing to say is Derek, actually a female white goose, had been living among the boats in Watchet Marina since being blown into the harbour by a storm, and had been fed and looked after by the town's community ever since.
Sorry, Rob. This goose at some point in her existence was blown into the harbour in a storm, and in the intervening years she could never get out. She's got fucking wings.
Yeah.
Fucking lazy goose is this.
Yeah, but at the same time, look, if you were being fed, okay, and you were being looked after by the community. Exactly, yeah, so why would you leave?
So she had no reason to leave the harbour.
No, exactly.
Right.
So this week, Derek's personal Facebook page, I mean, it's not really her personal... or
You mean a fucking Facebook page for a goose? Goose book.
Very Beak book. This week, Derek's personal
even
Facebook
better, even better, Beak book.
Derek's personal Facebook page, run by the Watch It resident Miss Karen Scott, was deluged with tributes and condolences from far away as Birmingham, Singapore, the United States, and Australia. Why would you include Birmingham in that list?
Hang on, there was a gradation there, Rob, in distance. Wasn't there? Let me see if I was right. So first was Birmingham. Now hang on, then did it mention Singapore?
Birmingham, Singapore, yes.
It should have gone Birmingham, the United States. Singapore, Australia in order of distance, shouldn't it?
Agreed. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That is just completely bizarre. Unless it meant Birmingham, Alabama, of course, but it's doubtful.
But then why would you sing like Birmingham, Alabama, and then the United States? I mean, I realise people in Birmingham, Alabama may not see themselves as part of the United States, but that's a different issue.
Do you think she was killed for her feathers, Rob, to make a nice pillow or to put down? I didn't know this. My sister, who's one of those people who's quite into animal rights and things like that, told me that because I've got this nice jacket for the winter and it's got down in it, to provide extra padding.
Is it a Canada Goose jacket, Alex?
I don't know if it's that. I think so, but she said that
Canadian Goose.
She said that they, whenever you have those goose feathers in your pillows or your jackets or wherever, that those feathers are forcibly plucked from the goose. I didn't know that. I just thought they took it off them when they died. But no, they take them off it, and apparently the geese can get very infected and it's very painful for them. I didn't know this. Did you know this? I
did, yes. Right. So, and like I said, the well-known brand, I think it's either Canadian Goose or Canada Goose, opened up a shop on Regent Street, and there's been a protest going on there for about 2 years. Well, pre-pandemic it certainly had been, because of the treatment of geese.
So why don't people complain? Okay, but why aren't people outside John Lewis complaining about their pillows and every other place that sells bedding? I'm not singling out John Lewis, I want to be clear. John Lewis, never knowingly undersold. Why aren't people protesting outside all these bedding places about their goosey duvets and...
Why are you asking me? Go and speak to John Lewis, Alex. I can't speak on their behalf again.
No, it's got nothing to do with John Lewis. I'm saying, why aren't these people? Why are they protesting outside this Canada Goose coat shop? Why aren't they protesting everywhere else that has down in it?
I think in most cases now it's synthetic. It's they've created like an artificially.
Oh, I see.
Or at least a substance that.
I've still got pillows with goose feathers in them. So you're saying when my head hits the pillow, I'm lying on the tortured screams of geese.
Yeah, all that. I mean, I think now they have to make it out of dog hair, and obviously there's such a surplus supply of that, then no one's really bothered anymore.
That's not true, Rob. They don't make pillows out of dog hair. It's a brilliant idea.
It's only a matter of time, Alex. And flowers have been laid at a temporary memorial created on the Esplanade by Watch Marine staff, which includes a photograph of the guardian in the marina. Lovely term there.
How long do geese live anyway? You wouldn't live forever.
Well, the article does say that actually. They can live to at least 25 apparently.
Okay, now how old was Derek?
That's a good question. How old was Derek? Really randomly, it doesn't actually say. That's a good question.
You go, bad journalism.
Maybe I'm just going to scan them and haven't seen it. Look, Alex, there's a lot to get through. So let's crack on. So. Karen said Derek's death has caused real sadness to watch it. She was a great character and everyone loved her. Already there is the discussion around plans for a permanent memorial, ideally a bronze statue that could go alongside the H Mariner and, I don't know what the fuck this is, Yankee Jack on the Esplanade.
Sorry, we've got to look up who the fuck Yankee Jack is. Let me do that. Yankee Jack Somerset while you read. Yankee Jack.
Yeah, Yankee Jack, watch it. Again,
you watch it. You watch it.
So, Alex, mystery still surrounds what happened in the early hours of last Saturday. Derek regularly slept on the town's slipway at low water, and an early morning dog walker reported seeing bloodstains and a pile of feathers, but no body.
Hang on a minute. Before we get into that, Rob, I'm looking at a picture of Yankee Jack. John Short, otherwise known as Yankee Jack, came into prominence as father of sea shanties. Born locally in 1839, he first went to sea from Watchet as a lad before going deep sea, and in the 1860s joined a Yankee ship in the American Civil War. It is said he sang as he sailed with a most melodious voice, and when he retired at the age of 61, he brought his songs home with him. These were collected and collated by Cecil Sharp and Sir Richard Terry for our English musical heritage. A statue of Yankee Jack was funded by the Museum Society, and it was sculpted by Alan B. Heriot of Penicuik, Scotland. That's about Yankee Jack.
Yeah, there he is.
Right, Rob. Rob, once worked as sort of amateur woodland animal murder detectives.
Yep.
You do sometimes find geese in woodland, so this counts. Rob, we're going to crack this. Rob, I'm going to turn off the funeral music. Sorry.
Okay.
I feel we now need something that more relates to criminal investigation and mystery. Right, Rob, describe the crime scene for us.
Right, so, just to repeat, Derek regularly slept on the town's slipway at low water, and an early morning dog walk reported seeing bloodstains and a pile of feathers, but no body.
Okay, so that's odd. That's interesting, okay.
So, Chris Moiser, owner of the Tropiquaria Zoo, was brought in to investigate and confirmed that the feathers and some of the remains were those of a goose, but we may never really know what happened.
Stop. Sorry. Why did... Okay. First of all, they could have asked us to investigate. They didn't.
Yeah.
But surely there are people who do specialise in this kind of thing. Ace Ventura types. Why did they... I know this guy runs a zoo, but that doesn't make him necessarily... You need a police brain as well, Rob. You know, you need to be a pet detective or an animal detective. They bring in this guy from a zoo to investigate what happens. What kind of... They didn't even ask the RSPCA, Rob.
Alex, I hate to say this. I mean, that's probably why they asked him and not us. I mean, first of all, we have literally no track record of solving any crimes. But at least this guy has...
he just runs a zoo. No, I'm sorry, he runs a zoo. Yeah, okay, fine. So he comes in and he states the bleeding obvious, did he? What did he say?
He said that he confirmed that the feathers and some of the remains were that of a goose. I don't know what the other remains were. So, yeah, it was definitely a goose. But he goes on to say we may never really know what happened, which makes me think that he knows something.
Well, the first suspect has got to be the dog walker.
Yeah.
But that is odd. So somebody stripped the feathers off him. So they wanted a nice bald goose.
We don't know that, Alex. They were just feathers. Look, Alex, he goes on to say, okay, there's a bit more detail here. There were urban foxes in Watchet, so we're going back to the urban foxes excuse. And perhaps it could even have been a large dog. But the fact that the body has disappeared is very puzzling.
Have they checked the water? No. Have they sent in a sea of deep... What? Have they sent in some deep sea divers to see if he's in a bag with some bricks at the bottom of this river or whatever it is?
I would find it funny if someone there looked on the slipway and just found these feathers and then just turned to the left and went, oh no, she's there. No, she's in the water. So, Alex, just to add a bit more, so a criminal lawyer before becoming a zoo owner, which is a great sentence.
Okay, you didn't tell me that earlier. Now I look like a dick, so he is qualified.
I didn't want to spoil the surprise, Alex. You know,
wow,
you're berating this man for owning a zoo.
What kind of set of qualifications? A criminal lawyer, and then he starts owning a zoo.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's a nice crossover. Added. I think we will have to contend with an open verdict on Derek, so it looks like he's already written the case.
Sorry, he's not. He can't just do that. Also, does this not make him prime suspect? He seems very, very eager to close this case, Rob.
He does, yeah. He does seem to. He's already tried to say that we may never know what happened. It could have been a fox or a large dog, but there's no body, so I guess we'll have to close the case.
I think someone needs to look at, did he have a nice roast goose the preceding Sunday with all the
Absolutely, trimmings? Yeah. So, a Watchet Boat Owners Association spokesman said, Derek has become the harbour mascot and boat owners, fishermen and children really miss her. Recently, there was concern for her safety when the marina was polluted by diesel fuel, but she survived that only to suffer this really violent death. Geese can apparently live up to 25 years. We're really hoping to have her around for a long time yet. It's a very sad day for the town. Yeah, and it goes on like that, Alex. But the thing to say is she is greatly missed, and people will keep her forever in their hearts, and hopefully they can build that statue to sit alongside the Ancient Mariner and Jack the Yankee.
Rob, just seriously for a second. Where was it? What date did this happen?
Let's have a look. So, what was the date on here? So this was the early hours this last Saturday. So we're talking 23rd of October.
Oh right, okay. So this is a bit dated now. But were you in the? Okay, this is a public service announcement. Were you in the Watchet area of West Somerset, the Free West area of West Somerset, on the early hours of 23rd of October? Did you see a goose or anything that resembled a goose? Do you know what happened to Derek the goose? If you do, please contact lapodcast.net@gmail.com. That's lapodcast.net@gmail.com, and give us whatever information you have, and we will pass it on, Rob, to this zoo owner. Probably not. I think we should circumvent him. I think he's suspicious. What's a criminal lawyer doing, leaving that profession and opening up a zoo? That's odd in itself. Yeah. Maybe he wanted, Rob, ready access to domesticated beasts for whatever purpose we will never know. Maybe he secretly works for East Somerset and he's training the animals up to be an army to take over West Somerset, and then they can instill this foul communist regime over all of Somerset. That's the only thing I can.
Nice reference, nice pun there. Foul. No. Yeah. But Alex, maybe the goose has been converted into a covert agent and has been sent over the wall. We don't know, Alex. But I think ultimately you're right. We need to go to the police, and once they start returning our calls, then maybe the RSPCA. But I think what I wanted to say is that I'd like to dedicate this episode to the memory of Derek the Goose.
I've got one question outstanding after all of this, which I've been waiting quite a while to ask.
Right.
If the goose is female, why is it called Derek?
Good question, yeah. Don't know.
Well, on that note, Rob, we bring this episode of LA Podcast to another bitter end. We look forward with a mixture of eager anticipation yet trepidation to our next episode, which will be episode 354, as you move ever more forward like a figure shrouded in the shadows of the night on a slipway in West Somerset, stuffing a plucked body of a goose into a bin liner, taking it home to either eat or other things. We just don't know. I mean, that's basically the bottom line. We don't know. Just like that, we move ever more forward to our next episode, which will be episode 354. We are on Spotify. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LAPodcast. We're on Twitter @LAPodcast. We're on where are we, Rob?
Well, Alex, we're on loads. The other thing I've been meaning to say, and I keep forgetting every single episode, we are actually on Amazon Music as well. So we are now on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube. You can find us fucking everywhere. Why aren't you listening to us?
Yeah, if you haven't heard us yet, why aren't you listening to us? And if you're listening to this episode, then us telling you where to find us is pretty redundant because you've already found us. But the point is, it's just spreading the word. Rob, I completely forgot to play our advert in this episode for the Patreon. So if you want more episodes of LA Podcast, well, we've got that for you. We've got bonus episodes called LA Podcast and Extra Jab. I should say, when we say bonus episodes, it doesn't mean like they're just 10 minutes or whatever. They're full-length episodes. It's $2 a month. For £2 a month, there's already 13 on there. You go to patreon.com/LA Podcast Extra, and all the details are there of how to do it. That's patreon.com/LA Podcast Extra. I'll put the advert, Rob, at the end of this episode for anybody who wants to listen to it. God bless.
And keep it local.
Local Anesthetic Podcast is now on Patreon, so sign up now to receive exclusive LA Podcast and Extra Jab bonus episodes to your inbox every month. These can't be found anywhere else, and if you want to hear them, go to patreon.com/LAPodcast extra. More stories about stupid people doing stupid things.
Teacher rushed to hospital after shoving USB cable in his penis. No, fuck off, he didn't.
He inserted the cable to measure the length of his penis out of sexual curiosity.
What pleasure could you possibly derive from this? I mean, apart from trying it this evening.
More stupid people doing more stupid things.
Parents ordered to pay 43-year-old son after getting rid of his pornography collection. I just feel bad for the parents because it seems like the one thing their son has managed to get right is the fact that he has a vintage pornography collection. That's the only thing going on in his life.
Well, inside the boxes were films such as Lesbians in Tight Shorts, University Co-ed 25, and 1001 Erotic Nights.
What can I see? What I'd like to know is, what was it? It was a University Co-ed 25. Did he have the whole University Co-ed series?
And of course, the strangest news stories you've ever heard.
Man left baffled after finding whole potato in his bag of kettle chips.
What?
Dr. Boyce, 38, was watching the deers rut in Leicestershire when he felt peckish and opened a bag of crisps.
What a strange... Was he having a wank? Was he? What a strange... So what a strange thing to include in the story. So the journalist went over there. They're like, tell us what happened. He goes, well, I was watching some deers have sex out of my window.